Okay, so let's talk about one of the most familiar sounds pretty much anywhere in North America. That loud, sharp call from the treetops. Yeah, it's not just noise. It's actually a super complex language. And today, we're going to decode what that blue jay is actually saying. Oh, you know the one? That harsh, kind of obnoxious call that echoes from a treetop, probably way too early in the morning. It's just impossible to ignore. But have you ever stopped and wondered what it actually means? Because it turns out it is so much more than just a random bird sound. All right, let's start with the big one, that famous jay call. It's not just a bird being loud for the sake of it. Really, you should think of it as your neighborhood's very own feathery and honestly super effective security system. Yet, this is not some pretty melodic song. Nope. It's a functional broadcast, plain and simple. That harsh, raspy sound, it's literally designed to slice through every other sound in the environment. Its one and only job is to get everyone's attention, and to do it, like, right now. And it absolutely has to be loud because it's doing some really important work. It's a public service announcement for danger. Screaming hawk when one is circling overhead. It's a get off my lawn shout to any other jays trying to move in. And get this, it's a call to arms, rallying all the other birds to go mob a predator until it just gives up and flies away. But here's the thing. If you think that loud alarm call is the whole story, you are missing out on most of the conversation. The Blue Jay's vocal toolkit, it's way, way more sophisticated than people give it credit for. Yeah, it's not all public screaming matches. Blue Jays have this whole other side, a much quieter, more complex side, that actually reveals a surprisingly rich social life. So the real key here is learning to tell the difference between their public voice and their private voice. And it's a huge contrast. You go from that harsh JA call to these much softer, really intricate sounds. It's exactly like putting down a megaphone and starting a quiet one-on-one conversation. These are pretty much the sounds of intimacy in the Blue Jay world. They're what you hear between mates or inside a tight-knit family group. It's almost like they're murmuring to each other just to reinforce those bonds. You have to be super close and listen really, really carefully to even have a chance of hearing them. Okay, so we've got the loud shouts and the quiet whispers. But this next part, this is where the Blue Jay goes from just being a communicator to being a total master manipulator. And honestly, it's a brilliant display of just how smart these birds really are. And I'm not talking about some occasional party trick. Mimicry is like a core part of their identity. They are legendary in the bird world for being able to imitate other sounds with just stunning accuracy. And their range is just incredible. They can perfectly nail the terrifying scream of a red-tailed hawk, one of their biggest predators. They can mimic the meow of a house cat, another huge threat. Some have even been recorded imitating human whistles they hear around the neighborhood. It's wild. So, okay, that leads to the obvious question. Why? Are they just doing this for fun, or is there something more strategic going on? Oh, it is 100% strategy. Just picture this. You've got a busy bird feeder, lots of little birds everywhere. A blue jay flies in, wants the whole thing for itself, and suddenly lets out a perfect red-tailed hawk scream. What do you think happens? Yep, all the smaller birds scatter in absolute terror, and the blue jay gets the entire feeder to itself. It's a really clever and, yeah, kind of devious survival tactic. All right, so now that you know what's possible, how can you start decoding these sounds for yourself? Let's get you set up with a few tools so you can become your own backyard interpreter. It's actually pretty straightforward. Just use this simple 3-step method. First, listen for the tone. Is it harsh and kind of nasal? That's a classic Blue Jay marker right there. Second, notice the rhythm. Is it that repetitive alarm call or something more varied and complex, like a whisper song? And finally, and this is huge, observe the context. Is the bird at a feeder? Is there a cat slinking through the yard? What's happening in the environment will give you all the clues you need. And to help you really tell them apart from other birds, listen for this one thing. A blue jay's call is way more nasal sounding than the deep caw of a crow, and it's totally different from the squeaky, clicking sounds a grackle makes. If you can just train your ear to pick up on that harsh, nasal quality, you'll know you've got a jay. And hey, you don't have to do this all on your own. There are some amazing apps out there. Merlin Bird ID can literally listen to a bird with your phone's mic and tell you what it is in real time. Or there's the Audubon Bird Guide app, which has huge libraries of calls you can listen to and study. They're fantastic tools to have in your new listening toolkit. So why does it feel like this whole drama is constantly playing out, right in our own backyards? Well, there's a really good reason blue jays have become such a common part of our daily soundtrack. And the reason is pretty simple. We've basically created the perfect habitat for them. Think about it. Our suburban neighborhoods, with all the bird feeders, scattered trees, and open lawns, that's basically a paradise for a blue jay. It lets them thrive right here, right alongside us. And their communication actually follows a pretty predictable daily rhythm. So if you really want to listen in, pay close attention in the morning and then again in the evening. Those are the peak times for all the action. That's when you'll hear them announcing where the food is, sorting out who owns which tree, and sending out the last warning calls of the day. So the next time you hear that loud, familiar call, maybe a little too early in the morning, I hope you hear it differently now. Remember, it's not just noise. It's a warning, it's a declaration, it's a social update. It's a whole conversation happening all around you. You basically have the key now to decode a secret language that's been hidden in plain sight this whole time. So the only question left is, what are you going to overhear?